Hey guys, Derek here. We are back with another episode of My Hero Academia. Last episode, Midoriya was trying his darndest to get Sir Night-Eye to laugh, and it did not work. They kind of had just a tiny bit of mutual bonding over the fact that they're both All Might fanboys. But in the end, Midoriya had to try and take like a chess piece, or not a chess piece, it was like a stamp that looked like a chess piece. He had to take that from Sir Night-Eye to gain his blessing in becoming an intern for the agency. He was unable to get the stamp, and he thought he was gonna not be allowed in, but Night-Eye had already decided that he was going to take him along. So Midoriya secured his position as an intern, but the reason that Sir Night-Eye wanted him aboard was because he believes that Mirio is the better choice for All Might's power, and he essentially wants to force Midoriya into believing that he's not good enough and that he needs to give it up, which obviously is not going to happen. I wonder how close he'll get to believing it, like if he'll actually start to think that maybe Mirio is the better choice. I hope that doesn't happen though. That would be a bummer to see him go through that. But a lot of the other kids started to get positions as interns. One of them got a position with a guy named Hawks, who's the new number 3. I've heard that this dude's dope. Just from reading some comments, I didn't get anything spoiled for me, don't worry. People just said that Hawks is cool. So looking forward to eventually meeting him. But leading into this episode, I believe Deku is on patrol or something. They got some intel about Overhaul last episode, and I'm curious to see how soon they interact, if at all. If it's like this episode or next episode, or kind of like what the deal is going to happen. But yeah, that was last week. This week, please, if you want to see more, I'm going to react to the rest of the season, obviously, but if you enjoy what you're seeing in terms of the show or my reaction, please leave a like on this video. It helps a ton. Subscribe if you want to see the rest of the season so you're notified. And I got more shows coming. The Mandalorian starts this coming week, so that's going to be super cool. I got the rest of Titans coming. If you want to see the full-length reaction to this episode of the show, head down to my Patreon. It's linked in the description. That would mean a lot as well. But other than that, let's just jump right into the episode.
I still don't get it. Why didn't All Might say anything to me about Night-Eye?
All Might chose wrong. Mirio should have inherited the power.
I just don't want to
Maybe
have to
he's-
talk to the guy. Something big must have gone down if they're not even
I don't know.
speaking.
He must not want to deal with that
We forgot something.
that
Our heroes
Night-Eye
should know each other.
thinks he chose the wrong person.
Yeah.
That could potentially solidify it if it's like, because it might still be in flux right now, and if he used it again, that like it might be more certain, you know. So maybe he shouldn't do it again. Who knows? Okay. Frick, that was a good episode. That was that started off real hot. It was a very tense encounter. Going on patrol with Mirio, and they immediately run into the girl from the intro. with the one horn on her face, who might actually be Overhaul's daughter, because this is just a guess, because when he used his quirk, only one half of his face did something, and she only has a horn on one half of her face, so that could potentially be a slight connection. But yeah, so she escaped their compound or whatever and ran into Deku and Mirio, and immediately they could tell like something was wrong, and then they noticed like, oh frick, the bad guy we're looking for is right here. And I don't think I agree with Mirio on that one. I think in the moment, like if she had chosen not to go back to Overhaul, like if she had committed to trying to escape and getting out, I think they would have had to go with Deku's plan of saving her. Like I don't feel crazy comfortable with them just like allowing her to go back. But I mean, this is like, looking back throughout history, this is a similar thing to what happened in World War II, I believe, where the United States, it was either the United States or Britain, cracked the German code. The code breakers cracked the code, but in order to not give away the fact that they knew the code, they had to allow certain things to like play out, and so like they couldn't act on everything. And that's slightly the same situation here, where like Mirio is saying like maybe not acting in this specific case will do us better in the long run, and like they'll have a better chance of taking him down in the long run. I think the way that specific encounter was going, though, I think they were gonna have to confront him and fight him, until they were going to the alley. They were definitely gonna fight in that alley, but then she saw Overhaul taking off his glove, and he was gonna try and kill them. So she was like, frick, like I don't want them to die, because she knows what it does. So she's like, all right, I'll go back to you if you don't hurt these people. And I think in the end, that was like the only not good outcome of that situation, but the only outcome that didn't involve Deku just giving her up to that guy, like saying, okay, yeah, take this girl, but and didn't involve them fighting. Like it involved, she willingly went back to him, even though it wasn't really willingly, like pretty much a decision made under duress. And and then they come back. The guy that let her get out immediately killed, cause duh. Only half his face had the dots all over it though, like the pox or whatever. So it's possible that only like one half of his body does one thing and one half of his body does the other, or he can just choose what he wants to do with it, because later in the episode it talks about how the thugs that he ran into at the end of season 3, I believe, he just healed them, like, or it was either him or one of the people he was with, but I think it was him, because his stuff is like specifically like health related. Like he can either completely heal them or just give them so much illness they explode. So I think he can choose which one he wants to do, or half of his body does one thing, half does the other. I'm not sure which one yet. But there was like some sort of like medical table with some tubes coming out of it, so they might have her hooked up to something. And it might be her quirk, like what her quirk does is helping their plan somehow. I'm not sure. And then okay, so Deku's just like frustrated the whole day, can't focus on school, needs to confront All Might about what is going on, like why didn't he tell him about this, and why he wasn't talking to Night Eye. And it's because Night Eye essentially told him, like, if you keep doing this, you will die a gruesome death facing off against a villain. And so far, that hasn't happened. So the future could potentially have been changed, or it will happen within the next year or two. And he doesn't want to talk to Night Eye because, one, Night Eye believes he chose the wrong person. And he believes that he will die a gruesome death. And if one of those is true, then the other one, in All Might and Night Eye's eyes, has to be true. And I think he doesn't want to allow himself to believe, one, that he's going to just die a gruesome death. I mean, I think he's slightly resigned to that happening. Like, he's okay with it because he's passed on his quirk. But I also think he doesn't want to allow himself to believe that he chose the wrong person. Like, he needs to believe that there's something coming after, and that someone will be there. And Mirio was recommended to him. And before he could meet Mirio, though, he ran into Deku, and Deku kind of moved his heart, and he granted the quirk to him, which infuriated Night Eye. He's so mad because he thinks someone's better, and so he is training Mirio. I wonder if Mirio knows, like, what the deal is, and that he is potentially next in line for this great power. And I wonder if Night Eye is, if he's told him about it, if he's like promised this power to him. Because that could potentially lead to some pretty big conflict down the road. Yeah, so he doesn't want to talk to him again because of those things. And yeah, we'll see. And then it kind of ends. Deku, he brought up the idea of Night Eye using his quirk on All Might again. So then they know for a fact, like, is he gonna die, and exactly when is he gonna die? That could potentially give them a better chance of stopping it, theoretically. Like, I'm guessing in Deku's head, he's thinking, like, if we know exactly when this is supposed to happen, we can do something different in that moment to stop it. My thought on that, like, that could be a good idea, but there's also the potential that the future is still, like, in flux, and that what Night Eye predicted might not necessarily come true. And if they then use Night Eye's power on him, like, it'll be much closer to the event potentially happening, and Night Eye will have a lot clearer understanding of if, in fact, it will happen and when. So, like, them doing that could potentially take what is in flux and make it certain. I don't know, timelines are weird. And that would suck. But if it does end up being, like, true that All Might is gonna die a gruesome death, I think one of my thoughts that I had last season, when he was fighting All for One, and it would show this, like, little, like, candle flame or whatever, And he like did the final big punch, and it like kind of, the flame kind of dwindled, but it didn't go all the way out. Like the flame didn't go all the way out. And I think they were trying to tell us like, oh, this was the last moment, like his power is completely gone. But I mean, he can obviously still change the appearance into All Might, like, so he's still got that going for him. But I think if he is gonna die, it might end up being a situation where he has to use it again, like him, and he knows that using that will kill him, and then he still chooses to use his power one last time, defeat the bad guy, and die. That's a potential future situation. And I think it's one that a lot of people are kind of like guessing at coming ahead of time. But we'll find out what happens. I'm excited for the rest of this season. I'm excited for next week. That's all my thoughts on this episode. If you liked what you saw, please leave a like, and please subscribe. That would mean so much. If you want to see the full-length reaction to this episode, head down to Patreon. That would mean a ton. Yeah. Other than that, I've been Derek. This has been Season 4, Episode 4 of My Hero Academia. Signing off. Peace.